start, I just want to kind of say if you hear any kind of outside noise, it will be my neighbours. They enjoy banging on the walls, slamming doors, screaming in each other's faces to communicate, and they keep their kids up to like midnight, hanging out the windows, screaming at whatever they bloody see. And they blast everything that they listen to or things like that. So if you hear anything like a bang or just some loud kind of noise or something, it's going to be them. So Amaranthe, this is a band that I think kind of came out in 2012, something like that. It was while I was in college, so I do think it was probably around the 2012 kind of year. So yeah, that's kind of when this band formed. I was kind of with them at the start, so when the first album dropped, which is what you see, so Amaranthe, self-titled probably. Yeah, I had the album. I listened to it, and then within the year, I got bored of the album and didn't really listen to it. It was interesting for the first few listens, and then I just moved on. At the time, I didn't really come to know why I did. I just kind of thought, well, it's run its course. I'll kind of listen to it until, you get over it. I need something fresh. And the second album released, and I did kind of listen to that one also. And that one had less of an impact on me. I just kind of thought, yeah, this is kind of just the same. It's just the same album. It's just different songs, but the way they kind of approach the songs musically, where they position the vocalists and everything, as well as structure, song lengths and everything is just exactly the same, just copy and pasted over, just different lyrics, different kind of, rhythm and beats. It's going to be like different chords and everything, but always in the same kind of flow and things. So there was nothing really new and inventive about it. So yeah, it was boring in a faster pace. And then they've released another 2 albums or so after that, and exactly the bloody same. Nothing changes, so I just kind of left them, and obviously as it's come to kind of now, I've kind of grown and kind of realised certain aspects with kind of music, and have dived into certain things, so I can kind of understand to a deeper level why Amaranthe is a pretty shocking band. Now, Amaranthe has a pretty good kind of cult following. Loads of people really do like this band. When the first album released, I know that people kind of were aware of them in a pretty alarming matter. Like, Amaranthe went from like not much of anything to something massive incredibly quickly, and then with just one album they were known as like one of these brand new unbelievable metal acts that are like the new wave of metal gods and things. Like, they kind of consider Slip-On a Knot and crap. So Amaranthe is one of these band tied in with all these high-end really crap bands that musically don't really have much talent and can kind of fake things. And just the typical crap bands, the high-end bands that get a lot of praise, mostly just because they are super simplistic and they're quite poppy to a certain extent. Amaranthe fits in right there. So Amaranthe, the kind of typical sound, for those who don't know, they have 3 singers. They have a female who has an incredible bloody voice. She's well known. Loads of bands kind of want her to guest on their stuff. So Orion, a band I've reviewed previously, she guest on that song, and she's just sounded amazing and epic. She always sounds absolutely breathtaking. She has such beauty to her voice. It's just absolutely incredible. Her voice, it is so open and so breathtaking. It's angelic. It's incredible, her voice. Then there's a male singer who, again, he has an incredible power voice. Not too brutal, not too light. He just has this really great power and control of his voice. And then the third singer is a screamer who shouts his bloody head off, and I hate him. So they're the three singers. Now, as for the music, what they have going is obviously the simple formula. They have an intro that just kind of does kind of an upbeat kind of rhythm style of thing, then a verse, then a chorus, the exact same verse, a chorus, and then you'll get a solo, which can sometimes be pretty decent, kind of musical, nothing unbelievably groundbreaking about him, and then you finish on a chorus. There may be a bridge, probably, but just the typical kind of structure of a pop song. And the way they approach it, with the layering of the vocals, you either will start with, it's usually the female will start, the pre-chorus you may kind of get the male, or you'll just have a full verse of the female. And then as for the chorus, it will be a duet between the female and the male. Actually, no, usually the pre-chorus is the screamer. So usually how all Amaranthe songs go is you have the first verse of the female, then you have the pre-chorus of the screamer, then you have the duet of the male and female clean singers of the chorus, and then the second verse is where the male comes in, and then the pre-chorus again is where the screamer comes in, and then the duet between the two for the chorus, and then the bridge will probably be the screamer. Then you get your solo, then you get your kind of duet and everything in the chorus, and that is basically how every fucking song is. Barely goes anywhere else. Maybe you'll get a verse that starts with the male, but I can't really remember that ever being the case. So if it isn't, then holy fuck, do they follow a pattern? I don't think they ever start with a screamer. They may do, but usually it is always, you got your female, the bit of the scream, male-female duet to the male, screamer, duet, screamer, chorus with the duet again. And maybe some kind of, belching from the screamer through the chorus at the end. But, really bad. But again, musically, it's usually kind of this upbeat kind of rhythm. They have a lot of electronic kind of sounds to it, so it's got this electronics stuff kind of running through that you get in like dance clubs and everything, and that's incorporated into Amaranthe, so it's just kind of metal bands with a lot of kind of dance vibes. So some songs will be heavier than others, and some songs will incorporate more of this kind of real dance kind of vibe to it. So some people that were going to jump in and say, oh, songs do change. You get some really heavy ones. Some where the screamer will probably actually start the song. On the rare occasion, as I said, there may be a verse which is full out screams, but it's a lot rarer. So they definitely don't change it up a lot. It's usually the formula they stick by, and then they'll differentiate a little bit by just moving the vocalists around, but that's not, super difficult. It wouldn't have took a lot of time to come up with that, and have to be musical geniuses to figure that fucking out. It's just the moving of placements. So yeah, some songs will be kind of heavier than others. Some songs will be more dancey. Then you got your melodic. So some people will say, well, there's a massive fluctuation, but no, it's not really. It is still excruciatingly simplistic with nothing to it. It is just the mid upbeat tempo kind of song, or maybe the slower song. This will take more of that kind of dance kind of feels to it, or something really dancey sounding, or something a bit more brutal. But other than that, that's fucking it. Musically, does anything really change? No, it's just basically the guitars will cut out so you get the dance thing, and then when it's a bit heavier, it's just the guitars over the dancing that hasn't disappeared. They just bring the guitars back into the fold. It's not really that gifted. So the formula is always very repetitive. Again, as I said, the lyrics do kind of change. The beat will kind of differentiate, but it's always kind of around, the kind of power chord kind of stuff. So it's nothing too flashy. There's no kind of leads or intricate stuff or a nice melody or thing. It's all the simplistic kind of stuff. If they're doing a melody, the guitars will just kind of cut out and just kind of leave something kind of clean guitar, or just the electronic stuff. They never do some kind of unique lead or something. This guitarist solos again, always in the same place. The songs are usually always around 3 bloody minutes or so. They don't do anything big or epic ever. So, problem with the formula. So, a lot of fans because it's extremely poppy. It's upbeat. It's got a lot of dance kind of stuff. It's cheerful. It's upbeat. There's the beautiful female voice and everything. So, it's basically just dance music with, guitars in and a solo. And, screams and everything. So all these really simplistic things, which is why the brain dead, which is the majority of the population, probably appreciate this band. Now, a thing I started thinking about, which is why I've come to actually do this now. I heard a different band that had her as the lead singer, and the song came out in 2012, and the last thing they posted was "We're in the Studio," which was in 2012. And they haven't posted anything since. I guess they just fell apart, but couldn't be asked to tell anyone. But obviously, listening to that song, it was a great male clean vocalist, and then Elise Reed, the female. And that was it. So musically, that was a fuck ton better. And I was like, I would love to hear Elise, because she has such an epic voice, sing in a band where they don't have a stupid, vomiting sounding growler who can't fucking sing to save his life and needs to fuck off. So, yeah, listening to her, I kind of started noticing her voice is so perfect and so angelic and has such incredible tone to it, and it's so well controlled that that's a problem. It being so epic and amazing and so perfect, and then outside her voice, like usually when there's a singing going on, it'll have a dryness to it. It won't have this echo kind of bubble around it. So when Elise sings, it's her voice and then what is like a surrounding echo of her, and everything is super clean and precise. So it's like, I don't think this is really her. Same with the male vocalist. Everything has this effect. So I started thinking, this is incredibly digital sounding. It's not an organic voice. This is not a real voice. It is way too perfect and has such a weird effect that I don't think it's just naturally her voice being able to do that. I don't think a voice can do that. So I started thinking, well, this is clearly digital, so there's a lot of effects going into her voice to make it sound this epic. And then because everything is so precise and everything, I also came to the impression of, I think they're fucking auto-tuned. I think she's not actually doing this herself. I think auto-tune has gone in, fixed everything to make everything sound perfect and in tune, and then there's a fuck ton of effects going in to make her voice sound even better. This is not her, clearly. So, I'm on YouTube at the minute. I'm looking at it right now. So, if you type in Amaranthe Live, there is Amaranthe Full Show live at Wacken Open Air 2012. So, this is obviously in the beginning of their musical career. Now, listening to this and hearing the vocals, holy Christ, it's not them in the studio. They do not sound like this here. Now, it could just be, obviously, the one show. I have checked multiple shows, but at the minute I'll just talk about Wacken Open Air 2012. So, the male vocalist, he has nowhere near as much power. He's seriously just quiet and just trying to concentrate as he sings. You can see it in him. He's just trying to stay in tune, which means he's not belting anything else. He doesn't sound confident in his delivery. He sounds very kind of held back, trying to actually do all the kind of, tune, try and stay in, the right kind of note, the right tune. And for the most part, he is in tune. There are a lot of times where he actually comes out of it and he just kind of shrieks and goes a bit over and a bit high, or he's a bit low. So he is out of tune a fair bit, but he definitely tries to maintain it, meaning that all that power and belting notes out, he's not doing it ever. He is really held back compared to the studio. As for Elise Reed, she kind of keeps the kind of studio sound of, the kind of power and delivery with her voice. But again, she is all over the place. She sounds super dry when you compare it to the studio, which it's such an open surrounding force to her voice and this kind of echo. And so the fact that there's none of that going in, it is just her voice. And then when she says something, there is no surrounding force of her voice. There's no echo to it. It's just, she says it, it's gone. It's super dry, which definitely leaves a bad taste because it's like it's nowhere near as good. As well as the fact that she can't stay in tune. She is all over the place, out of tune, and she's quite piercing actually. So that's the performance there. And when the male sings, when they're supposed to do a duet, it seems like her mic completely cuts out. So she doesn't have the same kind of power in her voice. Now, what was one of the next ones I listened to? It was one of the more recent ones, so it was probably Amaranthe live at Aurora, or Amaranthine live at Aurora on the 1st of the 12th, 2017. Yeah, that's the one I listened to. So, Amaranthine live at Aurora at the 1st of the 12th, 2017. So this is a year ago. Now, they've lost the Screamer and got another one, which I was so pissed about. I thought he was going to, like, please don't hire another one. Just be done with a Screamer. It's way better. But no, they hired another fucking stupid person who doesn't know how to sing and just goes, because, that sounds epic. It's beautiful. I could sing that on my deathbed. When my grandma passes, I'm going to play the beautiful music of because, oh my god, brings a tear to your eye. Fucking idiots. So, the male also left, the guy who definitely couldn't sing like he could, and they hired another clean vocalist. So we've got another screamer and another clean vocalist. Elise Reed is still there. So this is more of a melodic, so she doesn't have to use power and processing. She can be a lot more kind of controlled with her voice to keep it soft. She maintains it a little better here because when it gets heavy, on the previous show, she goes extremely high and she just completely can't stay in tune. Here, because it's so soft and everything, she maintains it a bit better because all the effects have been lost. It just sounds super dry and crap. When the male comes in this song, he sounds really good. He actually can sing and maintain probably the overall effect. Now, obviously, he'll lose a bit of production from the studio because the studio will kind of mess with the voice to make it a little better. But the fact is, this guy's voice, especially in this video, is pretty much perfect to that of the studio. He has power, this kind of surrounding area that he puts into his voice, so it does have a good projection to it. So he sounds great. Then when they do the duet together, holy hell does he destroy Elise Reed, who's supposed to be one of the greatest leading females in metal. He is so powerful and so epic in sound, and then she is so dry, so dead, so out of tune compared to him, that he just sings and he sounds powerful, epic, like a great vocalist, and she just sounds like just one of these singers you kind of pull off the street. They have a good voice and everything, but they don't have all that great power behind them, the great control, and they will kind of fall in and out of tune from time to time. That is basically Elise Reed. Her voice is unbelievably auto-tuned in the studio, which has been proven by the live performances because she lacks all of the effects. She can't stay in bloody tune. And then the new lead vocalist that they have, is the only one who can actually sing, because as we know, screamers can't fucking sing. So, musically, everything has always been the same throughout the years, and then vocally, even though Elise Reed sounds incredible, live, she is so different because she doesn't have that warmth and that beauty and that angelic sound. It's just this really dry, feminine sound that can go to shrieking pitches and sounds pretty bad and cannot stay in tune very well. And then the old vocalist, as I say, the clean male, he was not as powerful. He tried bringing his voice back so he has more control, because when you start using a lot of power and belting things out, it gets a bit more tricky and difficult. So he's definitely a lot lower in the register to try and keep everything in tone, and he definitely looks like he's trying. He's not, putting on the show. He looks, like he's tense and everything, kind of like he's trying to hold in a fart with the kind of concentration that's in his kind of body tone and everything on that performance. But this new vocalist, he has a presence, so when he comes out, he stands confident, he has the projection, he has the power, he maintains it, he actually stays in tune, and he just sounds perfect. He just nails it. And as for Elise, again, in this show, Amaranthe live at Aurora at the 1st of the 12th, 2017, they actually put an effect into her microphone, so she actually has the echo effect in her mic. So they're trying to fake the kind of sound that's given in the studio. Again, the amount of auto-tune that goes into her voice to just bring it and just open the voice out to just have this nice kind of angelic presence to the voice. It just cannot be done until you put a fuck ton of effects into it. So even with the echo that makes it sound at least a little better and a bit more like the studio, it's just nowhere close to being the studio. It has to go through so many digital effects to fake the voice that she has in the studio. And again, doing the duet between the good male vocalist now as well as her. He is so powerful and loud because he belts the notes out, and then because he belts and he has control and everything, he actually gives himself that kind of echo and kind of control to his voice. So when she's singing all out of tune and everything and going to shrieking tones and doesn't have this power in her delivery like she does in the studio, where she kind of like fills the whole sound space, she's just so dead next to him and so super dry and just sounds like an incredibly crap singer. It's basically like Howard Jones, who used to sing in Killswitch Engage. Now, he's known as an incredible vocalist. People think he has one of the greatest voices on the planet, if not the best. Everyone loves Howard Jones. If you say to the fans he's not a good singer, you'll get a ton of shit for that. Live, he cannot sing to save his life. He sounds bad naturally. He can't stay in tune, and he always loses breath. Therefore, the majority of the time when Howard plays live, he just has the audience sing it for him, because he always loses breath. He's kind of like the Guns N' Roses singers nowadays, because he's so super fat, he can barely hold the note. So he always gives it over to the audience. That is Howard Jones in a nutshell. And saying that's not the case, it was probably the one performance. I've seen him in a multitude of performances in the early days, playing with Trivium when Matt was with his wife because she was pregnant. I've heard him in loads of live performances, and all the time he cannot sing. He has a crap voice, he can't hold the note, and he can't hold the tune. He loses breath, loses the notes, has a bad voice naturally. So even if he's in tune and everything, his voice typically sounds crap. He is incredibly auto-tuned and has a fuck ton of effects to make him sound great. If you put so much effects and so much time into someone's voice, anyone could probably sound great and sing. And that is basically what they do with Howard Jones. Now, Lisa Reed isn't as bad as that. So saying there is a fuck ton of effects going into her voice and a lot of auto-tune to make her actually do this, which is the case, and she is a hell of a lot worse live and natural compared to her studio version, Is she a bad singer? Nah, she's all right, but it's just like, again, one of these. I had a girl in school who was singing once, and I heard it, and I thought, you kind of have a good voice, and yeah, it was a nice voice and everything. It was kind of soft and controlled. She wasn't belting anything out or anything. So it was just like soft and trying to maintain and just, be relaxed about her voice, and it sounded quite nice. Her voice was pretty much the same as Elise Reed. It's just a kind of woman's voice which has a nice tone to it to begin with. And that is basically it. I can't really say Elise Reed can always maintain the perfect tone and tune because she always loses it a lot. And she doesn't have a great power to her voice, so she doesn't have that either. So it's just her natural kind of voice. If she's quiet and restrained and doing something very simple, then yeah, her voice is alright. But other than that, it's all fake. So yeah, Amaranthe, we have a band that is highly adored. Elise Reed is known as one of the greatest female singers that walks the planet. And yeah, everything is extremely formulaic. Everything is always the same. They approach every song exactly the same. The vocalists are always in the exact same locations in pretty much all the songs, apart from maybe the odd fucking one. The singers themselves, like the screamer, is completely crap and god-awful. He needs to fuck right off. The original male vocalist seriously cannot do what he's doing. That when he's live, he has to seriously bring down the kind of power just to at least try and maintain the kind of note. Elise Reed actually uses the power and tries to kind of sing it the way the studio is, but missing all that autotune and all them effects. Her voice is a little all over the place, and it doesn't have that angelic kind of power behind it. It's just this really dry, shrieky at times kind of delivery. So, again, it's a band that is basically, well, really pop. A lot of pop artists use a fuck ton of autotune, and when they're live, they lip sync because they can't actually do what they put on the studio album, and that is Amaranthe. The only problem is they don't lip sync, they actually try to do it, but they can't because they're not really that good of singers, apart from this new male who actually can sing. So yeah, it's pop through and through. Auto-tuned vocals. The vocalist can't actually do it apart from the new male. The structure is simplistic. It is always just a simple upbeat intro, your verse, your pre-chorus, your chorus, your verse, pre-chorus, chorus, a bridge, a solo. So yeah, the solo is different and maybe a pre-chorus, but other than that, it's not like, wow, fucking groundbreaking. They're really changing it up. And then lyrically, they always approach it the same. Elise will start, then you'll get your scream for the pre-chorus, the duet for the chorus, then the male. And pretty much every song always follows that pattern. They never change anything. Every album, nothing really changes or revolves. They never really go out of their comfort zone and try something new. It's just always the same. And yeah, the studio version of Elise, if it was just her, if there was a band with just her, yeah, it would be amazing because what they do to her voice, it does sound epic. I can't argue that it is epic, but the fact is, it is also fake. Which is really annoying. So, this band, it's bloody below average just because all the albums are exactly the same. They always follow the exact same basic formula. The singers actually can't really sing apart from the new one that they have, the clean vocalist. And they always follow the exact same structure. Vocally, musically, structurally. The vocals can't sing apart from that new male. It's pretty fucking atrocious. So yeah, this band gets a 2 out of 10. 1 point because they have a new male vocalist who can actually fucking sing. And the second, they play solos. Other than that, everything is bloody god-awful. So that is it for reviewing this atrocious bloody band that is adored by many for being great fucking musicians. Absolutely epic. And having the greatest female singer to walk the earth. Who literally cannot sing. So there you go, 2 out of 10. And I'm going to get a fuck ton of hate for this, but I speak the fucking truth. But everyone will fucking say, well, everyone likes them, loads of people like them, therefore they have to be good. Go fucking flock off with the fucking rest of the bloody sheep, you fucking idiots.